What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here alongside Josh Davis. It is the Wednesday Link Live, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on a Wednesday. Josh, did you get a haircut today too?
I did. Yep. I was going to ask
Okay.
you the same thing. So we're thinking along the same lines there. It looks
There
good.
we
I love
go.
the haircut. So how's
I
everybody
mean,
doing?
listen, if you don't get a haircut before the Wednesday Link, do you really want to do the Wednesday Link? That's all I got to say. I got mine today. You got yours. We look good. Let's get started. There's so much to talk about on a typical Wednesday as we welcome people in. Everyone kind of jumping in. Shane Baker's jumping in here. Rupert's in here as well. Richard
What's up?
Harris. It's been a very interesting past couple of days, and really interesting because we're in that week 2, day 9 of training camp, actually on the football field. Fights are starting to break out. You mentioned Tyler Steen. I talked about Derek Barnett today. People are getting tired of hitting the exact same people day after day after day. Saturday cannot come soon enough.
Yeah, we're definitely ready for real action. And like you say there, I mean, they're getting tired of being able, because it's very limited hitting sessions. I mean, they don't have actually
Right.
live tackling except for the developmental period, which is few and far between. So there's hardly anything going on there. But yes, it was interesting that we started seeing this and very late. But I think that you can sense that the anxiety is building. Everybody's ready to start hitting people for real. There was maybe, I mean, I know you covered it a lot, but possibly a cheap shot. There's conflicting reports on how exactly that went down of Landon
Sure.
Dickerson and Derek Barnett. So if no one knows what went on, it's between both of them. From what I could gather, it's that Landon Dickerson might have blindside blocked. There might have been a little bit of a cheap shot there. Some of the
Right.
defensive players said it was, but then immediately Derek Barnett turns back around and shoves Landon Dickerson in the back. Now, the unfortunate part was a couple media members said that he shoved Landon Dickerson to the ground. I'm thinking, that doesn't happen very easily.
It's a
Now,
big
maybe he
shove.
could have, but then a lot of other people were saying he just shoved him and Dickerson, turned around, and then there's a little bit of something that all of a sudden the players break it up, and not a huge deal. But of course, this is Derek Barnett that we're talking about. If we're talking about after the whistle, something that goes on there. Now, I can understand if you feel like you get a cheap shot, but are you concerned at all? I mean, we've talked about like, hey, maybe he's putting the pass behind him, right? Like these penalties, these things that he does after the whistle, or just kind of making these plays that are like, come on, what are you doing, man? But he again is in that scenario. I mean, is this concerning at all?
I don't think it's concerning, although a lot of people in my comment section today were very concerned. They want him out of there. I mean, people are so tired of Derek Barnett, and yet
Yeah,
they kind of forget the fact that Derek Barnett's had a pretty good camp. All reports are saying he's
yeah,
been running with the second teams. He's been performing very, very well. He's making the roster. All these people that talk about Derek Barnett not making the roster going into 2023, I don't know where they got that idea. Of course he was going to make the roster, right? He's not a bad player, just not a great first-round draft pick for Philadelphia. I'm not concerned. I think he's going to be just fine. I think that he's going to get out there and really impress some people and be kind of that Chris Long type of player we've been struggling to find the past couple of seasons. We
hmm
tried it with Ryan Kerrigan, and that was like one of the worst decisions ever. But you get somebody who's very similar in terms of overall size and build to the Chris Longs of the world, but a lot younger and potentially a lot more gas left in the tank to give him 20%, 30% of the snaps on the outside when needed, right? So I'm excited for him. I think he's going to be fine. Today, like you said, people are tired of hitting the exact same people. It was kind of a cheap shot from Landon Dickerson based on what I read, and he retaliated a little bit, and that was it. It wasn't like people were throwing punches and, get big brawl was happening. The Eagles have been very
right.
professional so far during training camp, and a fight's a fight. They're kind of fun. I mean, it shows that people are, serious about it. I'm just excited to get to Saturday when they can finally start hitting other people. I have pretty high expectations for their game against the Ravens, which we're going to talk about a lot later on.
Absolutely, yes. And we all do. And I think that the part that it really comes back to that everyone has said is like, this is where we would just love to have some video. Like, we are starved
I
for
know.
content.
I
Every other
know.
team, it seems like, I know not every team, but almost every other team has the images or has the video. And I know that Travis Kelce is the first one that comes to mind, but he started throwing haymakers apparently at a couple different players. And so he's been in the news. But we hear this and you can only speculate because obviously we're not going to get videos of that. But, it's right there with Derek Barnett and Landon Dickerson. And then the day
Right.
before, there was a report from Jeff McClain of the Enquirer saying that Tyler Steen, of all people, which I thought was crazy. I mean, if I had said to you, hey, one of the rookies got into a fight, I mean, Tyler Steen's probably towards the
Would be
bottom of the
him.
list, right? Like, I mean,
Yep.
he's a mild-mannered, like very quiet, seems confident, but just not one of those that's going to scuffle in with other players. And all of a sudden, Jeff McClain, which it was kind of funny though too, because I didn't see it from anyone else, and then he says it. So we're also left with, well, I would take his word for it because I think it happened. I assume it did. I
Yes.
don't know why he would make it up, but at the same time too, he's like, okay, Steen threw a left hook at what was it, Janarius Robinson, and then also later on, I can't remember who the other guy was that he was taking on. It was a second rep. Kieran Johnson, I think, and shoved him and some things after the whistle there. So again, maybe it's some anxiety, maybe it's just stuff building up, or I kind of like it a little bit. I shared on the show. I'm not condoning like the violence part of it, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I've called him Mean Steen for a while. So I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe he's got a little bit of a nasty side. And that's not a bad thing to have for an offensive lineman.
It's not a bad thing, although I think Tyler Steen's a little frustrated because everyone and their mother was saying he was going to win the right guard spot because he was big and Lane Johnson needed to be next to a big guy. They're not even putting him at right guard now. He is the backup right tackle or backup left tackle over basically the past couple of training camp practices. So this whole idea that Steen was going to waltz in here as a third-round draft pick out of Alabama and take it over from Cam Jurgens because he was bigger, it seems to be dying a little bit for a lot of takes here. I see some people on YouTube. So he's probably upset about that. In reality, it's the best spot for him. Stay at your natural position and be ready to go if Lane Johnson were to go ahead and get injured, Jordan Mailata were to go ahead and get injured. You can tell Philadelphia, especially with the linebacker moves they made this past week, which we talked about on Sunday night, they are making sure that an injury doesn't tank their season. Look all around this roster, right? They have extra defensive linemen. They have now extra linebackers. They have a ton of extra cornerbacks. They have extra safeties. They have extra wide receivers. They have extra offensive linemen. They have extra running backs. And technically, they have an extra quarterback, if you believe in Marcus Mariota, who did have his best day of practice today. I will say he did look good, finally, thank goodness. But they seemingly are trying to make sure that they're not one injury away from, Super Bowl or bust. And I think Tyler Steen now is kind of in that role of backup offensive lineman, very similar to what Andre Dillard was for Philadelphia for all those years whenever Jordan Mailata came in and stole the position from him. Quickly here, let's get to some super chats. We'll throw them up on the screen as people want to go ahead and get their chance to win some tickets. There it is. You see Benjamin Neal says $4 for entries. Just get my raffle ticket. Love y'all. Benjamin, we appreciate you. Yes, of course. You just got to get that raffle ticket in there as you see it up on your screen. Drop a super chat between now and the third preseason game. Officially, we're announcing it on the third preseason game. So if you didn't know, the third preseason game, we'll be announcing who wins the 2 tickets. And so you have a couple of weeks, less than a month, to get your entries in on any live show we do. We'll be live during the Ravens game on Saturday night. More chances there. But your time is running out. We will officially announce that winner coming up here in a couple of weeks. Also, Donatello Dragon, he was our jersey winner, and he says, what's up, fellas? Go Birds. I did get one. I forget who it was. Mike and Donatello won the jerseys. I got one of them ordered because they were out of the rest of them, and so I'm waiting to see tomorrow if I can call the pro shop and get the other person's jersey ordered. Although, for people like Andrea, I checked. The scheduled shipping date for the Jalen Carter jerseys is October, so I made sure it's October. We ordered them in April. It's October. So, yeah, you got to like that. Thank you,
at least we have something scheduled, but are you kidding me?
That's what it is.
From April to oh, wow. Okay. Well, we get it eventually, but
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, what are you going to do? Flipping the Bird gets his 2 entries into the ticket giveaway. Cam Jurgens has the right guard wrapped up. He really does. I mean, I would be absolutely shocked if he does not win that right guard battle. Size is one thing. Size is, of course, important, but they have big size all around him. If he's the smallest guy on the offensive line, Kelsey's not giant, but if he's the smallest guy on the offensive line, he still is very, very physical and very strong as well. And a lot of the guys have been highlighting that from a defensive tackle perspective, saying Cam is strong. He's got really quick hands, quick feet, and he's strong with the bench press. And so he is definitely going to win this job. I think most of us can feel very confident that is going to go ahead and happen. But, what are you going to do?
For sure, yeah. And like you mentioned there, I mean, Lane Johnson mentioned, several of the guys mentioned, it's a 550, I think was his front squad. He's one of the strongest, like everyone said. It's ridiculous. I can't even imagine that. But it's also interesting, too, because going back to Steen that you mentioned, I think it's important to point out that basically the way the Eagles have been running this is they've had the first team, obviously. Now they started to take them out for simulations in case, and fingers crossed it doesn't happen, but Jason Kelce were to get injured, and Cam Jurgens slid to center, and Tyler Steen moved to right guard. So I think the versatility is great to have, that you're not only just siloing or saying, hey, it didn't work out at right guard, Steen's only going to be the left tackle, but I think he's the backup left tackle and also the backup right guard. So if anything happens with injuries, the idea would be you move Cam Jurgens over there. It's also good to see, you mentioned Mariota earlier. I wanted to touch on that. He had a great day compared to a lot of the other days, which is nice to see. I don't think it has nothing to do or a coincidence by the fact that he has a different center now. Like Brett Toth was miserable, could not snap the ball. Now he's got Josh Andrews, which apparently is much better. So maybe there's something to that, maybe not, but it's glad that we're starting to see kind of solidified positions, especially on the O-line.
It does feel like we're about to get the official first preseason game depth chart coming up here either tomorrow, maybe it's Thursday or Friday. I mean, it's coming up, and we're going to go ahead and get that official depth chart from the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think it'll be most of what we expected. My big question mark in terms of this depth chart is where do you put the linebackers, right? Because Nakobe Dean is not going to play this weekend. I'd be shocked if he does. He was at practice today. He had his pads on.
Yep.
Didn't see a helmet. He did not work out with the starting group. He was kind of off to the side, just, running around, doing what you do when you're trying to go ahead and rehab stuff. However, if he doesn't play, is it Ellis and who? Is it Ellis and Myles Jack? Jack got some first-team reps today. Is it Ellis and Zach Cunningham? Is it Sean Bradley because he knows the system better? I don't know. Where does Morrow fall into this sort of thing? That's really the depth chart I'm very curious about because the rest of them are very simple, right? You have all your starters, then you have your backups. Ringo will start on one side. McPherson could start on another side. They're going to move the wide receivers around a whole bunch, even if the starters don't play. I mean, safety, we pretty much know who the starters will be. It's just going to be fascinating to me to see where the linebackers line up because I don't know if you're buying it, but Myles Jack, who you and I both said would not play or not start over Zach Cunningham, he's played a lot more at the first team than Zach Cunningham did. And you're like, okay, well, maybe Myles Jack is going to do something here.
Yeah, yep. I mean, I'll admit it. Maybe I was wrong. We'll see. Obviously, there's still a lot of time to figure out what goes on here. But they want to hurry or quickly get him into those reps. Now, you know, granted, the first day he didn't actually technically start. It was still going with Christian Ellis and Nicholas Morrow, and then he rotated in. But like you mentioned there, I mean, he still got first team reps, and so first day practice, just go ahead and, hit the ground running. That's always a good sign. I was just curious or questioning, like, is it immediately like, oh, you already feel like Jack is going to be better for this system? Or is it one of those deals where, I mean, I know it's a long time ago back in February, but, Zach Cunningham was coming off the elbow injury and then he failed his physical. Maybe there's something there. I highly doubt it. I feel like he's perfectly fine, so there's not an issue there. But it was interesting because you have two vets that I think, like we talked about, we were very interested in both of them, but in particular Zach Cunningham, and he did get a couple first team reps, but not near like Myles Jack. So it'll just be interesting to see. I'm curious about that as well. So far, if we're thinking about who's worn the green dot, other than Nakobe Dean, it's only been Christian Ellis. I mean, obviously in practices, you're not really wearing it too much, but in simulated sessions, like it was for the open practice, it was Christian Ellis. So curious to see if it'll be that, or, I mean, it wouldn't be crazy if all of a sudden we said, you're definitely going to see some two linebacker looks, but if we saw a lot of one linebacker looks, and then Terrell Edmonds, like we talked about, he's been playing that hybrid safety linebacker role quite a bit. So we could potentially see that as well. I'm interested, all the fronts, the confusion, everything else. Desai even went to like a 5 defensive lineman front today too, apparently, according to reports. So I think it's going to be fascinating. I just can't wait to actually see where the guys play in, and then obviously, how they went out with those jobs.
Obviously, we're going to be live for the Saturday night matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Be sure to go ahead and tune in for that. Going to have a nice scoreboard on the screen. It's going to try to be the best live stream experience you possibly could have on YouTube regarding Eagles preseason games. Shout out to High Philly Guy 419. 2 entries into our ticket giveaway. You see it up there on your screen as a lot of people are trying to make sure that they have their chance to get 2 tickets to any regular season game you want for the Philadelphia Eagles during the 2023 season. And one more here from Donatello Dragon, which I actually really think is a great question. Was going to lead into something I was going to talk about in just a second. He says, y'all mentioned backups in case of injury, knock on wood, God forbid. I don't believe that Marcus Mariota should we pick somebody up. I honestly don't either. I mean, he did have a better day today, but until probably the past 2 practices, he has greatly struggled at the quarterback spot. Now, I get why they signed him. You get a savvy veteran in there who's been there, done that, has a very similar, I would say, playing style to Jalen Hurts, just not as good of a thrower, but he could run. He could run this offense. I think Tanner McKee is playing some good football. He had a 96-yard scoring drive. I think it was today, maybe yesterday in practice. Yeah. And he seemingly is impressing people in front of a decent offensive line. Remember, he didn't have a good one at Stanford at all. I'm not saying McKee is a lock to be the backup, but I think McKee could definitely be the guy you could make a call to towards the end of this season if you had a similar Jalen Hurts shoulder injury like he had against the Bears and he sat out against, the Cowboys and the Giants or something like that. I could definitely see a situation where McKee plays well. Ian Book is not making this roster. We've heard this much about Ian Book. Unless he balls out on Saturday night, he's not making the roster. It will be McKee as number 3. They will put Marcus Mariota at number 2. And my guess is, in terms of starters on Saturday, it'll be Mariota and the 2 starting off because I'd be surprised if the Eagles go with their 1s for the first preseason game.
Yep, I totally agree. And it's a good point that you make. I mean, depending on how Mariota can, I don't know, pick this up or start to play well, hopefully, because my is that this was a sign of, all right, you know what? He didn't have to worry because there's a lot of things, let's be honest. I think we all realize this, but there's a lot of things coming into a new offensive system and you're trying to learn that and pick up all the pieces here. On top of, you've got a vaunted pass rush with a second team that's better than, I'll say, several at least offensive or first team defensive linemen on other teams. So you got a lot to worry about. And then also you've got a center who can't get you the football or it's, having to scramble off or anything else. So, that can throw off some things as far as some anxiety and some stress there and just really the timing in general. So I don't know. I think at the moment, yes, it's for sure Mariota. But again, if he were to, I don't know, go out there and just have an absolute lay an egg and do terrible and continue on with this, and we have a lot of bad practices from what we've seen so far, then it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say, all right, well, hey, you know what? We're going to give McKee a chance. He's going to get his chances in preseason for sure. So if he can make those connections, it sounds like he's got a very good connection, especially with Joseph Ngata, who obviously, if he has a great preseason, I think he's trending towards the direction of getting a roster spot. But if he has a good preseason, it's a lot. If he has, the first game here against the Ravens, let's say he goes, 5 catches, 75 yards and a touchdown. You're not going to say it's 100% at that point, but it is as close to as possible because with his size and everything else, he's definitely trending in the right direction.
Would you play any starters on Saturday on either side of the football field? Is there anybody that you need to see?
Gosh, I don't think so. Probably not. No. If you're going to say play a starter, I don't even think I was going to say for a second, like maybe you'd play Juergens at center just to get him some reps there. You possibly could see that, but still, the value is saying, hey, we don't need to get him injured here. So I don't even think that you'd see it in that sense. I don't know. You could say technically, I guess you might play a starter in the safeties because we don't know who that second spot is. But yeah, as far as like the solidified guys, I don't think you do. It's not worth it. We've seen crazy things happen in the preseason. Hopefully a lot of the guys, that play then end up turning into the starters.
Right.
I will say I'm going to have the official Nolan tracker. I'm just going to dub myself that. That's not a shock as much as I love Nolan Smith, but we'll be tracking everything that he's doing. I'm going to have, just kind of my own personal stats, I guess, to record, but I'm pumped, man. I can't wait. Obviously, it goes without saying that's who I am most hyped up for the defense, but to see Jalen Carter, to see these things that we've been hearing about, but we get no film or, very, very little from the Eagles that share. I'm just so hyped. I cannot wait to see it. And like we've mentioned before, if one of the guys, not like if they get a sack, it's going to go absolutely berserk. It's going to be insane. But if it's a tackle for loss, that's probably going to everyone going crazy. So I can't wait. Saturday cannot get here soon enough.
Byron Nails checking in with 5 entries into our ticket giveaway. Dig the new cut, Thomas. I appreciate it. Can't wait for Saturday. See our draft picks rock out.
There you go.
Listen, I would play Smith. I would play Jalen Carter a lot. I think reps is crucial for these young guys, especially when they have fresh legs and young bodies and, strong lungs. These guys are like 21 years old. I think you definitely get your backups in there, and you definitely get your rookies to play. Sidney Brown should play a bunch on Saturday. I think Carter and Smith should play a bunch. Tyler Steen should be at right tackle almost the entire time until you get to the latter half of the third or fourth quarter. I'm with you. Play them. Let's go. Byron, we have you down for 5 more entries into the ticket giveaway. Alfonso Godilla wants 10 entries. Michelle went to the doctor today. It's official. I'm having another little Eagle fan of the way. How about that? Everyone give massive congrats to Alfonso Godilla.
Congrats.
There you go. Well, hey, maybe we can get you some tickets, too. If you win this ticket giveaway, you take the little one, although maybe it'd be a little too little. But you take some other ones in terms of joining with the 2 tickets that we're going to go ahead and give away. Congratulations, though. That's pretty fun. That is really cool.
Very exciting.
I do want to mention we are going to give the link to sign up for the Fantasy Football League, and I'm not sure if you want to do that now or do it later. It doesn't matter to me, but Josh and I have been talking about the idea of doing a small, we can't have everybody in the Fantasy Football League, but a Philly special Thomas Macho Wednesday Link Live Fantasy Football group. And the problem is it's serious, right? You can't just join. It's a $105 entry, but you're going to have a chance to win 90% of potentially, $3,500. It's going to be a massive, massive entry into the Fantasy Football League. And so we're going to tell you guys how to sign up. We're going to give you guys the link. And then, of course, once you officially Venmo and get your, buy-in, then you get added to the league. And we're going to have you guys ready to go for probably August 27th, Sunday, August 27th NFL draft. So there's going to be a whole link down below shortly. Go ahead and put your information in there. Got to confirm that you read the rules, that you sign up for it, and that you can draft on August 27th. And then we're going to try to go ahead and have a lot of people in this Fantasy Football League. Josh and I will be a part of it. We're going to be active in this. We're trying to win it as well. So it's going to be a bunch of fun. We'll probably drop that here in just a couple of minutes. Any
Heck yeah. We'll
concern?
have the mock conference and the Josh conference. We'll have 2 separate ones there, and may the best team win.
I think we're going to do 32 people. So it'd be 30 people, including Josh and myself, 16 teams in the 2 conferences. So, your draft pick, it's going to be tough. I mean, this is to really test your fantasy football skills, but we've been wanting to do this for a long time. So looking forward for you guys to go ahead
Yeah.
and join in on that.
Round 7 or 8 is not going to be super fun. Beyond that point, it's going to be like, all right, good luck.
And
It's
good luck
very
drafting
slim
Eagle
pickings.
players, because everyone's an Eagle fan.
Yeah,
They're all going to want to
yeah.
go ahead and draft Eagle players. So Flipping the Bird says, I want to be in the fantasy league. Hey, listen, should we just drop the link? I mean, what do you want to do, Josh? How do you want to do it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we probably should. We've been talking about it, so I don't see why not. For those that are here, hopefully, I don't know how quick it's going to go. Honestly, we've been talking about this, but I'm excited about it. But yeah, why not? Let's put the link out there. Anybody that's interested, go ahead and fill out the form, complete the details there, and we'll see. We'll see how many you get. I'm curious to know how many you're going to actually do this.
2 entries for Flipping the Bird into the ticket giveaway. He says, I want to be in the fantasy league. Let me go ahead and throw up the survey. So this is what you do. You see it down below in the chat in the description box. They'll take you to this page. You have to go ahead and check yes on the entry fee there, and then you have to go ahead and make sure that you put your contact information. That way you can go ahead and get your name down on the list. We're only opening this up to 30 people, so it's first come, first serve. The first 30 people are going to go ahead and get locked in as soon as you send the Venmo. But after that, we're cutting it. So if you try and sign up, you're going to be rejected, and you're going to get your Venmo money back. So there it is. Hopefully, we'll fill it fast. I think it's going to be a bunch of fun. Go ahead and fill it out right now if you guys want to be in the Fantasy Football League. If you don't, no worries. I mean, this is just something people have been talking about, wanting us to do, and so we're going to go ahead and do it. It's going to be a bunch of fun.
Oh yeah. What's the most you've ever have you won a first off, I guess, have you won a fantasy football league? And I don't know if I've asked you this, but what's the most you've ever won in a fantasy football league?
Like $300, because we used to be really small, $10 buy-ins, $25 buy-ins. I won 3 years ago, and then I was number 1 seed last year, number 1 seed the year before. Couldn't get out of the first round. It stinks. What are you gonna do? But yeah, I've never won a lot. And this one, I mean, we have 30 people sign up, all doing $100. I mean, we're talking about a serious prize.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of what you get at the end of the year. So read the rules. Make sure that you can draft on that day. We don't want auto drafters. It's serious. So if you guys want to join in, the link is down below in the description box right now. Hopefully it works. I assume that it works, so we will see. Did you get Tyke192? He says, love the coverage. Go Birds, 10 entries.
Gotcha. Yep. Appreciate that. Got you down.
There we go. We appreciate that as well. A lot of new subscribers who've been joining us the past couple of days. If you guys have been liking our Eagle training camp coverage, we appreciate that. Jalen Hurts has been very good so far during training camp, and it's interesting because he didn't have the best of days the past couple of days. Elliot Shore-Parks, the beat writer, the Eagles reporter for 94.1 WIP, he's mentioned past couple of days tracking the stats. Mediocre. We had a nice deep ball to A.J. Brown, but no touchdown passes today. Only a couple interceptions so far this training camp's season. Any concern with Hurts having a couple of down days? I don't think you do either, but technically people are talking about it.
That's true. Yeah. It's got to be a point to bring up, and of course, as soon as anything happens, he threw an interception or he did this. But no, yeah, there's not a massive concern. There's not even really like a, I don't know, moderate level of concern because again, it's training camp. We're not really seeing full speed and everything else. And a couple, or at least one of the interceptions was a situational. So, it was like apparently a throw it up where the team had no time left. Basically, Jalen's got to hoist it up there and then picked off by Justin Evans. So, the interceptions, they're going to happen. We've seen it. It's not like he's going to go through and have 0 interceptions the entire game or the entire season. But, I don't know. I mean, you do question a little bit all of a sudden where it's like, okay, hey, he's actually apparently missing some throws, the inaccuracy a little bit there. But, it's not been this constant theme. It's just a couple days here and there. I mean, I think it's maybe 2 of the last 3 practices. So if it continues, maybe the alarms would start going off a little bit. But no, I mean, Jalen's proven. I think that if he does have a bad day, we always look for, all right, well, he's going to rebound because Jalen is Jalen. And there's a reason, as all of us know, he was ranked number 3 in the NFL top 100. He's just different, and he's going to continue grinding. He doesn't care about the award. You probably saw what A.J. Brown said about it too. He said, no, he's like, I mean, I'm happy for him as a friend, but as a teammate, he's like, I don't care. He doesn't care. No one cares. So it's like, we're focused on the next goal ahead. So no, I'm not too concerned about it. If we continue hearing about it or something else, then okay, maybe, but nothing right now to get crazy about.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a concern for me at least, at all. Shout out to Mike Halo, who's rocking into the chat. Mike, I just saw your Instagram message. Yeah, no Kelly Green Kelsey jerseys available. I'm gonna call tomorrow and see if I can get you one from the pro shop. If not, then we'll go ahead and pick you up the Darius Slay one, because that's been the only one that's been available so far. But we will see. What's your concern level with Nakobe Dean? Asked Mike Rowland. Not that high. I mean, listen, ankle injuries are always annoying, and that's the biggest concern, is that he's already had an ankle injury, and those can kind of nag the entire season. But if you were going to have it, beginning of training camp is the right way to do it. They could technically shut him down for all 3 preseason games, and I feel like we'd all be still very confident in where he's at. So I think it was a good sign that he had the pads on today, but I don't see him playing in Saturday's game. I don't see him really practicing much this week. I think next week, to get ready for the second preseason game, is a little bit more in terms of the time frame when I would expect Dean to be back. But they keep telling us it's not a big deal, right? They literally keep telling us it's not a big deal at all. So, I'm going to believe them until it becomes a big deal.
Yep. That's all we could go off of, because again, we don't get the video. So we're just at the mercy of, well, okay, a couple of reporters have said this, and the Eagles organization is saying, yep, he's good. There's no concern. He's got an ankle injury that he's dealing with, but we've seen a little bit in terms of him just kind of stretching or going through some warm up and everything else. So he's probably going to be fine. There's a lot of ankles, which, I mean, I guess that's kind of a normal injury, but it's just kind of funny when you've got Patrick Johnson, you've got Nakobe Dean. Who's the other that I'm thinking about for ankle? Was there one more? Maybe there's not. There's a calf for Devin Allen, I guess, is limited, but yeah, I mean, it's nothing a massive deal. And obviously, as far as like Myles Jack and Zach Cunningham, and even Nicholas Morrow, they've all been very like commending of, as far as like Nakobe Dean. He's still with the group in the reps. He's kind of coaching them or like helping with different mental reps, and being there to make them feel comfortable. So even though he's not actually on the field getting the physical rep, Desai talks about it a ton of, hey, you got to get your mental reps, you got to be prepared. Right. So I think he's going to be fine. There's not a big issue.
I totally agree. It would have to really be, hasn't practiced in weeks before you actually start getting really concerned about Nakobe Dean. So we'll see. Shane Baker says, I have a live draft the same exact time. I'm super anti-auto draft, so I can't do it. Wish I could. I feel like you could handle 2 drafts at one time in our league and in a different league. We're going to have so many people in each league that it could take a little while, right?
True. Yes, I would normally agree with you, but I mean, we got to also
on the Venmo. I don't. Let's see. I got Nick Papenberg. Is that it? Yep. Oh yeah, there it is. All right, there you go. You're entered in. You are good to go. Yes, you need to do the survey. That way I have the email. That way I can send you access to the Fantasy Football League, right? That's like the whole thing is you need to fill out this survey. That way I can go ahead and get your email. Your email is at the bottom, and that's how I can know exactly where to put you. So fill out the survey and then send the Venmo. We have a couple people who have done that. Make sure that you go ahead and do that. That way you can get into the Fantasy League. So Brian, you get 2 entries, and you are also locked in for that. Flipping the Bird gets 2 more. He says we need to do the Survey Monkey survey. Yes, it's literally just like a free survey. That way I can go ahead and get your email, because it's the only way to invite you to be in the Fantasy Football League is to get your email. So 100%.
First come, first serve.
First comes, first serve. Definitely do it. Let's see. One more from Flipping the Bird here. 5 entries, sign up for the league, and agree to everything. Is that all I have to do to be in the league? Yes, as long as you send the Venmo. You got to do the Venmo as well, and I'm keeping track of the Venmos there too. It has my Venmo on the survey, so be sure to go ahead and do the Venmo as well. So yes. The Venmo is obviously your ticket. You do the survey, it gives me the email, and then the Venmo is the ticket in as well. Okay, Matthew Fitzpatrick, he says 10 entries into the ticket giveaway. He says, which player that has not made a major impact last year do you both expect to make a major jump this season? I think it's Milton Williams, big impact coming this year. Milton is a very good pick. I mean, I'm fine with that pick. I think because 100% could be accurate. In terms of a really big jump, I mean, Quez Watkins is up there as well. I think Kenny Gainwell, though. They are very high on Kenny Gainwell, despite the fact that most of us think DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny are like the new hot toys on the market. But they love Kenny Gainwell, and they're going to utilize Kenny Gainwell a ton in this offense. So I'm expecting big things from Gainwell. And you could make the argument, Reed Blankenship. I mean, apparently he's the one player in the safety spot that's been a lock to be a starter from day one. They have not moved off of Blankenship being one of the starters. So, there's a couple of guys for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to have an incredible year. I honestly, I don't know that I'd really go different from what you said. This is maybe to, I guess, answer the question a little bit differently, because obviously this guy wasn't here. But from everything that we keep hearing, Rashad Penny, to me, I know that there was already hype, but this dude just looks and sounds like a totally more explosive. I mean, he was,
He
again,
does.
237 in Seattle. He's now getting down. He's which was, I guess, like a week ago, he's at 230, but his goal is to get down to 225. And from the coaching staff, the running back coach, the whole room, and Penny even himself saying, I feel incredible. I mean, he's like, the knees don't hurt, the legs feel really fresh. He's faster, he's more explosive. He's run away from the defense on a couple runs already these practices.
Yeah.
So I mean, once we get him in full pads, start going and hitting each other behind this O-line. I mean, I know we were already hyped with the yards per carry that he can get and generate in his running style, but I mean, there's tons of weapons, obviously. So don't get me wrong. Not saying Kenny G, Swift, obviously, and those guys are not going to have great seasons and be, but there's just something about him, man. If it's going to be a resurgence year, like, look out. He could be phenomenal.
Rome V with a super chat, 5 entries into the ticket giveaway. He has a comment here. So he says, new to the channel, wasn't sure to make a comment. Got a super chat. Great channel so far. Rome, we appreciate that. Hopefully you enjoy both channels, subscribe to both channels, and technically, I mean, now if you're new, you didn't know, you got 2 entries into our Eagles tickets giveaway. We're giving away 2 regular season tickets of your choice to any game, and they're going to be given away on the 3rd preseason game during our live stream. So be sure to go ahead and mark your calendars on that one. Xavier Ragland wants 1 entry into our ticket giveaway. Xavier, we got you down. Don't worry, not a problem. And Shane Baker, he celebrates 6 months of membership. There you go. Glad you make another live, guys.
Thank you.
And join them. Shane, we appreciate that as well. Again, people wondering, link in the description box. I'll throw it in the chat as well if you guys want to go ahead and be a part of our Fantasy Football League. Serious fantasy football players only. Now's your chance to go ahead and join this due to popular demand. I mean, a lot of people have been demanding this, requesting this, and seemingly pretty excited about it. So you want to jump in on that, just fill out the survey the way I have your email, and then send the Venmo. That way you can buy your slot, because obviously it's a paid league, because we want to be able to give the winner a pretty big Venmo back in terms of winning the Fantasy Football League. What's the most you've ever won in a Fantasy Football League? Is it a lot?
It's right about there with you, actually. I think it's about like $500. So you had, I mean, not bad. I'll take it. But yeah, it's I think it was a $50 entry, if I'm not mistaken. So winner took 500, and then second place, what would that be? $100 or something like that. So yeah, not too bad, but nothing even close to this. I will say DraftKings, I've won a lot more. I don't know if you're big into that. If you submitted some lineups or played, there's been a decent amount that I've won on DraftKings. So I'll probably be playing that a little bit this year. I don't know if there's other people, surely in the comments, there's other people that play some DraftKings, but a little showdown action. I did some Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football showdown action. It's pretty fun. Just saying. You ever done that?
Not bad. I have not. I hadn't been legal in Georgia, so I'm waiting for them to go ahead and make it legal in Georgia.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not at all.
I forgot about that.
I will have DraftKings links, though, during the season, so people that are in legal states will be able to definitely do that, for sure. Yeah, I wish it did, or else I would.
Missing out. Yeah,
I'm missing out.
It's just an automatic, we don't get the sports book either, but yeah, the actual fantasy games. I forgot. Not every state.
Not unfortunately. Every state. Yep. Flip the bird. So what's your Venmo, Mott? Thomas-Mott-5. It's on the SurveyMonkey link if you need to go ahead and find out where that is at. Cool Rain says, Thomas and Josh, what are your thoughts on trading for Aaron Donald? I thought we were done with these ridiculous, mock trades, because it's not the offseason anymore. We have a lot more real things to talk about. I saw some people talking about, there's this trade prediction where you send Aaron Donald to Philadelphia. It's what we always talked about, Josh. The same Devin White prediction. Who else? Can we name some more names that they were mocked to trade for and never actually traded for them? It gets exhausting. They're not trading for Aaron Donald.
Well, I mean, anyone and everyone. Yeah,
I know.
No, they're not. I mean, we don't really need to talk about it too much, to be honest. But yes, I saw the reports. I saw some videos, and it's exciting. But it's every team, I mean, we got a Budda Baker, Patrick Queen, Yannick Ngakoue. Again, you just run down the list of names. Anyone there, Josh Jacobs. I mean, these guys, sure, you could put a lot of these players on the Eagles, and they're going to be great, and the Eagles are going to be good for them. But I think we all know it's like, all right, this is not going to happen. Like we've got a very solidified front, and again, not saying if you added Aaron Donald, like, he doesn't make a difference. Sure, he does. He's Aaron Donald, but it's just, come on, we gotta live in reality. We gotta try to pump the brakes. I've tried to as well. I know you have, but like during the off season when there's not a lot to talk about, sometimes you see that and you're like, okay, let's at least consider it possibility. But at this point now, it's like, okay, there's so much news and everything else going on. It's like, let's be real. Let's not go crazy here with the speculation of, oh my gosh, the Eagles are going to trade for Aaron Donald here.
It's getting kind of old. You basically are at the point where if you're on YouTube and you see a title that says Eagles trading for so and so, it basically means they're not trading for that player. It's gotten so bad. There's so much boy cries wolf when it comes to YouTube accounts right now that you got to just, goodness. I
It's like I
mean,
got to go to Twitter and be like,
I know.
okay, why did I not see a tweet about this first?
I
Because
know.
otherwise, like, wait, what? Why am I just hearing about this?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not true. Not true at all. Mike Halo says thoughts on one trade we might do before the season. We've all said Patrick Queen. I think we're out on Patrick Queen. I think they're out on safety. I think they're out on Patrick Queen. I think it would take a major injury for them to go ahead and make a move because there isn't one out there. Like, name a player who's on the actual trade market, like legitimately on the trade market that Philadelphia would want. Okay, Josh Jacobs is a name. They don't want him at all. He's too much money, and they have a lot of good running backs.
Yeah.
Buda Baker's done, seemingly. That one's gone. And the only other person is Patrick Queen, and they just signed 2 linebackers on one-year deals. You're telling me they're going to sign 2 linebackers and then trade for another one? Are they that bad at figuring out linebacker? No, I don't see that happening at all. I think 100% they're going to go ahead and be just fine in terms of not needing to make a trade. It would only happen if there was some sort of crazy injury and they felt like they just absolutely 100% had to go out and get somebody, and right now they don't. I mean, this is a loaded roster, and I think it was Peter King who was at Eagles camp a couple of days ago, and they basically said, hey, this is the best roster in football, and he feels very confident in that.
Yeah. I think, a lot of people have mentioned that. I mean, to your point, like, the only way that I would see the possibility of a Patrick Queen, or you're just going to kind of take a look at linebacker, I think would be like, I mean, if Myles Jack and Zach Cunningham start getting reps and, this is just miserable, it's like, oh my gosh, we thought this might work, but they've forgotten how to play, just terrible evaluations of thinking they would be a good fit or whatever the case may be, but something doesn't work out there. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen anything, maybe you have, but I haven't seen the contract details, but I've got to imagine it's very team friendly, especially for guys who went this long without possibly getting a job. And Myles Jack even saying, he's going to become an electrician or plumber before this because he didn't know if he was going to play again, which was, kind of humorous there. But good for him that he's on the team here. But if something didn't happen, I do feel like, yes, the contracts, without knowing for sure, are probably structured to where we could punt on it and not really affect the team much at all. So, you could say there's a 0.5% chance that that's going to happen because, I think that they did their due diligence in saying, yes, these are the guys that will be here, good additions in terms of whether they're a starter or just to be backups and solidify the room there. So I think it's very, very unlikely at this point. But again, it's Howie Roseman, so you never know. I feel like if he makes a move, it's going to be some other position. I don't think it'll be linebacker, but some other position where he either goes to add some depth or, again, hopefully, knock on wood, fingers crossed, we don't have an injury. But if something like that happens, then yes, he will, I would think, definitely use the cap space that he has to make a move and get somebody.
I think he wants to save the cap space for the trade deadline because by the trade deadline, which is week 8, you know if you really need something. And at that point, teams are selling. There could be a player where you don't really need him, but he's available and you could make that move, right? I mean, there are some options out there that could make some sense. However, I just don't see them making a move at this point because the roster is so darn stacked and there aren't a lot of guys. I mean, you have to get a football team that realizes that they have a much better chance of Caleb Williams than they do of a playoff spot. And when you get to that point, it's normally week 8, they know, and then they start selling people. And when they start selling people, okay, Tampa, we'll make a phone call, right? If it's Tampa, okay, Arizona, if it's Arizona, okay, you pick your team that's actually going to go ahead and try to tank for Caleb Williams because there will be teams out there, but I just don't see it happening right now. So, what are you going to do?
For sure.
What are you going to do? Chris, 10 entries into the ticket giveaway. Haven't been able to catch you live in a minute. I hope all is good. How do you think Greaves' chances are to make the roster? And do you consider Davion Taylor a failed experiment or not? There's another player we've heard nothing about. I've seen like one Greedy Williams tweet so far. And he's had a couple of times with the twos, but Ringo's playing better, I would say. Ringo has been getting a lot more snaps. He got some first-team reps when James Bradbury was out. I'm not sure Greedy Williams makes this roster, and if he does, he's going to be way down on the depth chart. Davion Taylor, he is a failed experiment. And I wonder what happened to the Davion Taylor we saw for 6 weeks a couple of years ago, filling in and starting and looking like he was fast and, athletic and mobile laterally, the sideline, and then he gets cut. Something must have been wrong there, but, I guess it was too small of a sample size to really know if Davion was that good.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, there's no way to know exactly for sure, but obviously they felt good enough about it to say, hey, you know what, we need to move on and do something else. Was it a want to? Was it a situation of schematically he's not picking up? Is it the situational football? Because apparently that was a very big emphasis on being very situational aware. Maybe that was it. Who knows? But I mean, I think even at the time of the pick, I was a little skeptical. I'll say that. I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020, so it's easy to say like, oh yeah, that wasn't a really great pick. But it felt like, oh, maybe that was a little bit of a reach for him to go in the third round. Like, could have gotten someone else.
Yeah,
But now the writing's on the wall and saying, okay, of course, like, yeah, that didn't really work out. It was a failed experiment. There was a lot of athleticism, a lot of reasons to possibly like him or say, hey, maybe this could work or fit.
right.
But unfortunately, it didn't there. But then going back to the greedy comment, I think it's difficult. I think it's tough. I mean, with the depth that we have, and like you mentioned, there's not enough spots. Honestly, I mean, again, I think we've gone over it a couple times.
Yeah,
But if you're looking at the cornerback room, the only chance that he has is if you take 7, but even then it's very slim, I think, for Greedy Williams because the lack of what we've heard. I mean, he's had some plays. Let's not say that's none. But again, you're going to obviously have Slade, you're going to have Bradbury, then you're going to have Avonte Maddox. Those 3 are for sures. Zach McPherson, I think, is a lock because he's been a ton of slot reps. And so I think you got to have him, given Avonte Maddox injury history, and hopefully he can stay healthy, but that kind of remains to be seen for a full season. And then Josh Job's getting a ton of first-team reps while James Bradbury's been out. So I think that's also one you say, yep, he's going to be here. Well, that's 5. Yep. And then Keely Ringo is not going to get cut. I mean, they love him. He's played fairly well. He's had his rookie moments also. He's been beat, but everyone does.
Sure.
So there's 6. And then you're got at 7. I mean, who do you take? Like, Mekhi Garner's really made a strong push. I've heard his name. I think we all have a lot more than it is with Greedy Williams. So not say it's impossible, but do you even take 7? Is that a lock? I don't know. Maybe they say 6. And so there's a lot of questions there. I just think it's a very much an uphill battle right now for Greedy.
It seems like it. And you mentioned Mekhi Gardner. You mentioned some players that have been playing really well. Gardner is one of them. Joseph Ngata is the other. I mean, those are the 2 kind of undrafted late-round draft pick names who shouldn't be making the roster but are making it very difficult for Philadelphia to figure things out. They're not practice squad caliber players. It feels like they're a lot higher up than that. And so I'm going to be very curious about those 2 players. You want one offensive player, one defensive player to keep an eye on Saturday night. It's Ngata and Gardner, corner and wide receiver, basically going against each other a lot at training camp so far, and now getting to play other teams and other people. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how that goes. Matthew Fitzpatrick with 5 entries here. He says, what's more likely? Kayvon starts, makes the team, gets released. Keep seeing he's taking first-team reps, but I still am hesitant to give him a role. We all are, but I think he for sure he makes the team. For sure he makes the team. 1,000,000% chance he makes the team. Starts, honestly, this point in the season, I think he would. At this point in training camp, I think he would be your leader to be the starter at safety. But that could be just because he's familiar with the Eagles and has been a part of the organization for a little bit, and the rest of the guys haven't. But right now, I think he's the leader in the clubhouse to start opposite of Blankenship, and we'll see exactly where he is on the depth chart come, of course, Saturday evening against the Ravens.
Yes, yep, which we will be having the play-by-play for those just joining now or catching it, but we will have the play-by-play there with a little tracker, keeping track of the scores, letting you know what's happening for those that, maybe not have the service. I don't know. Did we confirm what it's streaming on? We'll definitely have it, but do we know officially yet what service it'll be?
We do not know officially yet. We got to figure that out.
Okay, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out and have it.
Brandon,
but I agree. I mean, back to the Kayvon comment. I mean, he's for sure going to make the team. He's had way too many first team reps. He's shined so far in practices. Desai obviously loves him there. Also, I mean, it does seem like he's trending in the direction of starting as well. So I think it comes down to, once again, kind of what you were saying and alluding to. If he can play well in his preseason reps, if he can show it game in and game out there, or at least in the opportunities that he's going to get before the season, then I think that he could. And right now he's definitely the front runner. So, Terrell Edmonds, I know there's been some kind of swapping back and forth there, but it's beginning to feel like it's going to be Reed Blankenship and Kayvon Wallace, with Terrell Edmonds coming in for the 3 high safety look, or coming in as a hybrid linebacker, however you want to look at a big nickel package, whatever he's going to scheme up. And then Sidney Brown probably is going to work his way, or will have to work his way in there. I think both of us have said this. I love Sidney Brown, and I've said too, it wouldn't totally shock me if he got a starting job before the season starts, but realistically, it's most likely going to happen kind of after the fact.
I totally agree. And he's one of the ones who probably will start at safety on Saturday night because they won't play their starters, or maybe they will. I'm not sure. The safeties are young, but he will get a lot of reps, especially on Saturday night. Brandon Wright says the max amount of players on your fantasy league, I think 30. I think we cap it at 30. So tonight's the chance. I mean, really, you got to fill out the link. I just put it back into the chats in the description box. Send the Venmo to lock your spot in. Make sure, of course, you fill out the SurveyMonkey link. That way I have your email. That way I can add you to the league. So 30 is going to be the cap if we have everybody in that we want to. And a lot of you guys might not be watching tonight. You're watching this on rerun. It's still going to be in the description box. Still have a chance. Go ahead and jump in on that. Maurice gives 10 entries into our ticket giveaway, although no comment here. So, okay, that's fine.
Let us know.
Whatever.
You comment back if you have something.
Yeah, if you have a question, you can go ahead and do it. And Andrew says it's the NFL Network is where they're doing the Eagles game. Not sure if it's officially. Like, the NFL Network can be shady when it says it's the NFL Network. It doesn't guarantee it's the NFL Network in your area. If you're in Philadelphia, it might be in the NFL Network or a local broadcast station. But if you're in Atlanta or Dallas, like Josh and I are, it might not be on the NFL Network. So, we're going to have it. Obviously, going to live stream it. It's going to be a bunch of fun. Okay, as we, I was trying to read this comment here. Chris says there's nothing Wallace can do to make me trust him on the field. He's in the same boat as Derek Barnett to me. Trust is interesting, right? Because Barnett has his share of penalties, but I feel like he's going to have a good year. I feel like he's a really good player. And the same thing can go for Kayvon Wallace if he proves he's a good player, right? Kayvon Wallace has looked lost at times when filling in at safety, but he was always, filling in due to an injury. He was thrust in there in the second half of a football game because somebody got banged up. He never had a full offseason with a chance to become the starter because the safety spot had been pretty much locked down ever since we drafted the guy. And so now you have a scenario where he has a real chance to not only win the starting job, but win the starting job early in training camp and be that guy for months until we get to the start of the NFL season, and maybe you can get a little bit more confidence there. And I think that's kind of the goal. He's built properly. The speed is there. He has size. He has good hands. He has great vision. Reed Blankenship can help him out playing alongside him with the cerebral abilities we've heard about him. If not now, then when, right? If not now, then when? And honestly, now's your best chance. It's honestly your best chance.
Definitely. Yep. Now or never. We want to see it. We hope to see it. But again, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm right there with Chris in terms of like the doubt. I'll just be honest, and I've said it before too. Like, there's just a lot of things that I've seen from him, or maybe a lack of seeing things from Kayvon that I need him to prove it. Like, I love to hear it, but again, because we can't see all these videos and we're just hearing about highlights, I mean, I really need to see that from him before I'm going to be totally on board and saying, oh yeah, he's definitely there. Now, again, just the like objective trying to report based on what we're hearing, it does sound like he's the favorite. But like, if I'm putting my opinion in it, like, man, I really need to see something because again, even though we're hearing this, there's just been a lot of times where it's like, gosh, are you kidding me? Like, I need to see from him.
I totally agree. Let's see, Slash in Santa 2023, 10 entries into our ticket giveaway. And he says, it'll be a great year. I'm excited to see the growth of our young guys. It'll be the Vikings, Dolphins, and Cowboys, and 49ers game. Jeez, what do you think? Of, we got a season ticket holder here. What do you think we see? When do you think we'll see the black jerseys? Dallas for sure. The home game against Dallas would make a lot of sense. They'll probably wear them twice. I'm not sure. It's... It is what it is. We know when they get the Kelly Greens, and that's obviously Miami and Buffalo. So I would assume some divisional round areas are going to be, or division games are going to be when they rock the black jerseys. So we'll see.
Which I'm also thinking, I mean, I don't know if I've seen this or you've seen this officially, but obviously we'll be wearing the Kelly Greens against Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the Bills will be wearing the red, kind of the color rush type style? You got the Kelly Green and the red.
I think
I think that they would. I feel like. Yeah. But I also kind of takes me back to, the colorblind game because it was the Jets and the Bills when they did the color rush. And that was the two colors that no one could see. Like, I don't know enough to know, but it seems like the Kelly Green is very close-ish to that color for someone. So, I mean, hopefully for anyone that might have experienced that previously, hopefully it's not the same thing. But that was the only thing I thought of whenever I said, oh, it's against the Bills. If they're wearing the same colors, then, I mean, I guess, unfortunately, sorry, that might be an issue for some.
Let's see here. Brandon Wright says, you guys see the Colin Cowherd said about Dwayne Haskins? Yes, we all saw what Colin Cowherd said about Dwayne Haskins. Although, let's be 100% real. As two people who have worked in those production booths and have been inside the meetings and stuff like that. I used to work at FS1. I was an intern on First Things First with Nick Wright and Chris Carter. The amount of stuff that they don't touch, the amount of graphics that they don't build, he probably had no idea. And the problem is he's in the heat of things, and the graphic was already messed up because it said can instead of can't, and then has all these quarterbacks' name. He's just running through the list. It wasn't on purpose. This was clearly somebody not doing their job and proofreading their graphic creation. Now, he should have caught it on air. He didn't, but when you're on air, you're pretty focused. You're talking about a lot of stuff, and in that situation, I'll give him a pass. Not a good look, but you got to give him a pass. Shady McCoy said today when he was at Cowboy Camp yesterday that Tony Pollard looked really good. Tony Pollard wasn't at practice yesterday. So, stuff like that happens. Doesn't mean he's a bad broadcaster or that he, is insincere. No, but it's a bad look, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I I agree with you in the sense of like, okay, for Colin Cowherd now at times, I mean, I think we'd all agree he says things for the shock and awe factor. Like he's very contrarian a lot of times. If someone says one thing, he's going to go the other direction. But yes, like to this one, I've got to chalk it up to in the heat of the moment. He's got the graphic there. He reads it very
Yes.
quickly. It's almost like he did kind of catch it, but he was moving too quickly to another
Yes.
topic. Because if you watched it, it was like he said it and he paused and then he was like, "Can't win Super Bowls, can't win it," and then he just moves on. So he probably even realized like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right, but just kind of kept going on. But it's an unfortunate because yes, it definitely looks terrible. It's awful for that to come up. The shady comment. I mean, that to me is a little bit different because if you're just like blatantly making up stuff, because it's like, okay, did he look good? Because he wasn't there. Like, what are you talking about? So that one's more of like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on in that instance. But for those that are in the heat of the moment, everybody makes mistakes. There's concerns or issues there. So, it's not a great look, but I think you move on.
It is what it is. Slashing Santa says, as a content creator, let me see here. I appreciate you boys. I just started a tailgating group for games. All my members watch you guys. So again, thank you. Seriously, sorry to bother. And hey, listen, you're not bothering us at all. We appreciate the comment. Appreciate you helping out the
appreciate that.
Making sure all the tailgate boys watch it. Josh and I got to go to a fans tailgate, Lamb and his guys for the NFC Championship game and the divisional round. We had a blast. I mean, so much fun at Eagles tailgate. So we appreciate everyone who obviously goes to tailgates and watches. Yeah, we had a bunch of fun at that. We'll see. We'll see if we can get invited back, and we're going to be there this year. It'd be fun to get invited back. So could be
that would be a blast.
Could be fun.
And apparently, I mean, I love it. I mean, they go with the theme of the team that we're playing. That was a cool part that I learned. Lamb's tailgate. It's like the team we're playing kind of go with that type of food each week. That's awesome. So it's also like depending on the week of the opponent. But I was like, man, that's a pretty cool, unique way to do it, especially if you're going to be tailgating for every single game. What an incredible environment. Again, that was first game for me, NFC Championship game. It probably set the bar a little high, I guess, for going to that type of. But what a blast.
Flipping the Bird says, what's the league fee again? If you guys are wondering in terms of jumping in on our fantasy football league, which you can go ahead and sign up for using the link in the description box right now. You see it up on your screen right there. It's $100, $105. So if you guys want to join, I mean, it's serious only, right? 30 entries total is where we cap it at. You got to go ahead and fill out the Survey Monkey the way. Get your email address. Just put it into the chat again, and then send the Venmo of $100 to lock your spot in, and then we'll create the league this week, and then the draft will be happening later on August 27th, I believe is what I said on the Survey Monkey. So if you're wondering how to do that, that is exactly how you do it. One more thing from Slash of Santa. You're invited to hang with us if you'd like. Hey, listen, we'll let you know what games we're going to. We'd love to swing by some tailgates.
I appreciate that.
Do the old rounds. CRC says, hey, Thomas, do you remember the days you were in Philly sports chat? I'm not sure what that is, but I think I know what you're referring to, and I remember them, and I'm glad we moved on. Let's just say that. If I know what you're talking about, we'll see.
I feel like I know what that is. Yep.
Very glad. Brandon Wright, Shady has been hyping up the Cowboys all week. Said they're the best DB duo. Shady did he ripped the Cowboys, went to Cowboys camp, and then tweeted that the Cowboys have an incredible roster, and you're like, okay, maybe they told him. I wouldn't be surprised if they told him that. Listen, it's funny that LaShawn McCoy is an ex-Eagle and obviously likes to rip on the Cowboys, but you got to calm it down a little bit, because what you got to realize in terms of what's going on the national broadcasting shows, they pivot towards the biggest audiences because they have to get numbers. That's why they always talk about LeBron James, because more LeBron James fans than any other player in the NBA, and they talk about the Cowboys all the time. That's why Skip Bayless has his own show, because they talk about the Cowboys all the time because a lot of Cowboy fans watch ESPN. And so maybe they told Shady, hey, calm down a little bit, go to practice and say they look good. Now, we're not saying the Cowboys are going to be a bad football team this year, Josh. They're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to be a good football team. They might beat Philadelphia once out of the two times they play, but are they better than the Eagles roster? No, and no one believes that, genuinely. Even Cowboy fans don't believe it. And sure, Dak has thrown a lot of interceptions in training camp so far. He's also had some good touchdown throws based on the stuff that I've seen. He's not been totally bad, but the idea that he is, gonna be the MVP and win the NFC, it's like, all right, let's calm down just a little bit. I believe it was our favorite host on Jacob Sports who said the other day that Dak would beat the Eagles in the NFC title game, and you kind of went, yeah, not so sure about that. Not so sure about that.
Our favorite host, yeah, good one. Yeah, I mean, the takes from him, speaking of the shock and awe, just saying a lot of crap, basically. That one was pretty far-fetched, but to your point, I mean, yes, the Cowboys are going to be good, and we know that, so they're one of the top competition there. But it still comes down to the team that they have, the quarterback that they have,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact they just can't seem to get out of the divisional round. So, I mean, we have that in our pocket. Yes, they could beat us. It's happened quite a bit. They could beat us in the regular season, but it matters in the playoffs. And that's what, for some reason, they don't seem to realize that they always want to bring it back up to like, oh, we beat you in the regular season. Dak owns the Eagles. Okay, well, what have he done in the playoffs? There's been nothing.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. They're going to talk about it. You got to have something to talk about these days. But it's interesting, too, because Zach Martin and the whole holdout situation, I mean, it's not a good look. Jerry Jones has, I mean, I don't really expect to hear these things, but obviously you've got the Ron Rivera comment about Bieniemy and the whole situation there, which was kind of crazy. And then Jerry Jones, who's going with Zach Martin and saying essentially like, hey, you know what? We're preparing because if he, what was it? I'm going to paraphrase and probably not get it great, but basically he could get injured and we could be without Zach Martin. So we're kind of moving on. And while he's taking these $50,000 a day, I think, right? That's the penalty, $50,000 a day
number
for the holdout. That's insane. But obviously he feels strongly enough to say, well, you know what? I can afford to do that, and I hope to get a better contract for it. I don't know what's going to come from it, but it's never a great look. And then you add fuel to the fire when your owner's just going out and kind of bashing the best player, your 99 Madden rated guard, who's one of the best in football, if not the best in that position, and you're going to just bash him. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of like to see it with the drama, but it's not being handled very well, to say the least.
All I can say is Zach Martin is going to be needed when they play the Philadelphia Eagles, especially if Jalen Carter plays as well as we think that he's going to play. And based on the reports that our guards are having a game plan, how do they go against him in one-on-ones during 11-on-11s? It's like, all right, hey, we're going to see. We're going to see. It could be very interesting. Mm-hmm. Philly OG53, 20 entries into our ticket giveaway. Good evening, fellas. See, you rock an Air Force tee. I am rocking an Air Force tee. Did you serve? That's a fresh cut. Yes, we both have fresh cuts. Me serving is a story for another day. Technically, yes, but technically, no. It's a longer story than you would probably want to listen to right now. My dad, though, was a fighter pilot. My brother is a C-130 pilot right now in the Air Force. So a lot of Air Force family members, but no, I ended up not, unfortunately. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm here talking to you guys instead, but always repping right there. Yep, Air Force Day today. We got another entry into the... what's it called? I'm blanking right now. The Fantasy Football League, flipping the bird. I got you down. I got your Venmo. You're in. You're ready to rock. So obviously we still have more slots available if you do want to go ahead and join the Fantasy Football League. Myself and Josh Davis are going to be fantasy league owners for two separate divisions, right? And then the two divisions go against each other. And the top 4 or 6 teams go to playoffs, and it's winner take 90% of the pot. It'll be a big pot because the entry fee is pretty high up there at $100 because we want to have real fantasy football players, not people who are going to be auto drafting or not starting the appropriate people at the right week. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Elfin says, yes, every year.
Even that are like, well, okay, we've reached week 8, probably not going to make playoffs, so they've just totally checked out, and obviously the buy-in's not enough to keep them interested either. So
yep,
we don't want that, not at all.
Frustrating. Elfen says, thoughts on the first Hard Knocks episode? I have not watched it because I'm on the East Coast. It went live at 10 p.m. last night. It's like, okay, I can't watch an hour-long show at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. So I don't know. Have you seen the Jets first Hard Knocks?
I have not. No, I'm definitely wanting to, but similarly, it was a late night, and then with a little one in the mix too, and family and everything else. It's a little hard these days. On top of we've got real day jobs, so there's a lot of things going on. But I'm very interested to see that, especially obviously the Aaron Rodgers and all the setting there, and I'm sure it's good. I mean, all of them are great. I love the extra insight, but I've not seen it yet.
Jets fans gave it a rave review. I'm buddies with Jake Asman. He's one of the premier, I'd say, young radio voices in America. He hosts down in Houston, but he has a Jets YouTube channel similar to ours. And I did a mic test with him way back when. They were checking to see if they wanted to put us on air together. And he talked about the Jets, and I'm an Eagle fan. We're talking about teams we actually don't care about in Atlanta, and he was in Houston. And Jake Asman loved it. So he absolutely loved it. So the Jets fans are excited. I would love an Eagles Hard Knocks. I mean, come on. People think that it's like this big distraction. It's not a distraction. There are cameras they put up in the corner of the rooms that are like security cameras, and that's what you're watching, right? It's not like anyone is having to, be followed around by a bunch of people. There are cameras that practice everywhere. You can't even tell the Hard Knocks guys are, minus the big T-shirts that they wear. It's not a distraction. It's just fun. It's just fun for fans to enjoy, and I would be all in on the Eagles doing it. But the Eagles have to stop winning because it's like, you can't win a Super Bowl in the past couple of seasons. You got to get to the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. They win too much to ever go to Hard Knocks, really.
True. Yeah. It's probably not going to happen. And I mean, it's not a huge distraction, but I guess it's at the same time, you look at this is a team that you don't get a whole lot of access to. We don't get to
We
see too
don't.
much. So,
Mm,
it's like on one hand, maybe it would be kind of a distraction, but on the other, I'd say if and when it happened on Hard Knocks, I mean, can you imagine the ratings would have to be through the roof because
yeah.
nobody gets to see anything. This is the first time in forever
Yeah.
of like, oh, okay, cool. We can actually see what the team is doing here and get behind the scenes look. It'd be incredible. And then, like we've talked about too, it'd be like, yeah, it'd be kind of nice if you all of a sudden were watching
Right.
and heard your voice there. That'd be kind of cool.
Shane Baker, 2 entries into the ticket giveaway. Thanks for your brother's service. Boy, don't tell him that. He's gonna make me give you the $2. He would immediately make me, but I'll tell him though. I'll tell him though. I appreciate that. Andrea
Yes,
getting
thank him
in
for the
on the
service.
ticket. Yeah, the ticket giveaway here for Andrea. Getting her entries in. 10 entries. That's how you do it. Andrea, we appreciate you. You got 10 more entries
right,
into the
got you
ticket
down.
giveaway. If you do not know, the drawing is going to be the final preseason game of the year, which I believe is Thursday the 26th, 5th, 23rd, something like that. Whenever it's the Colts, right? I think it's the Colts. I'm not sure. Whatever that game is, that's when we're giving away the tickets. Final one.
Yes. Yep.
Jonathan Caldwell, 5 entries. Can't wait to see how
24th.
24th. Thank you. Says,
Yep.
can't wait to see how they work in Agent Zero's pass catching abilities. Go Birds. Agent Zero, man, is fascinating to me. I am a huge DeAndre Swift fan. I think he's going to be absolutely incredible this year. But how often are they going to utilize him? And will they get kind of, not greedy, but will they get a little player happy? And what I mean by that is there were times when they didn't run Miles Sanders enough. And whether you thought Miles Sanders was injured or not, who knows? But they kind of would go with the hot hand. And I like the hot hand approach because you want to feed the hot hand, but sometimes they'd be a little too hot handy. They give too many carries to a Kenny Gainwell. And I absolutely hate the play where Kenny Gainwell breaks a 20-yard run and then they immediately give him another drop the middle for 1 yard. I think it's the stupidest play in the entire world because he just ran for 20 yards. He's exhausted. You
Yeah.
can't give him another run play. It's never going to work. And yet they do that quite often. So I just want to make sure that they're giving him enough touches, but they also got to make sure they're giving enough touches to everybody because it's tough out there. You got to have touches.
For sure. Yeah. You definitely have to have the touches. I mean, I don't know. I agree with you. Yes, a ton of times we've got the draw play, and you're like, "Are you kidding me? We just got a
Yep.
yard. We wasted it down." But I mean, hearing a lot of running backs talk about it, I think that they prefer that, and so that's where the coaches are going to because it's like a lot of other sports. Like you need the reps to kind of get a feel or get into the flow of the game, and so I can understand where you're not really wanting to get subbed in and out like every single play. But to your point, it's like. I hope that there is somewhat of a balance, but yet you can have a player on the field, if he's having a good game or he's performing well or he's in the zone, as we saw with Kenny G. I mean, that's why he got more reps in the playoffs. Like he was outplaying Miles Sanders. And so, I think that it's a beauty to have the running backs that you have on the roster here because it could be any guy. I mean, in one game it could be Swift, in another game it could be Penny,
Right.
and another game it could be Gainwell, and in some games it may be all of them by a committee and just a complete effort there. So, not a bad problem to have. I mean, the running back room the way that it is, but I'm with you. I think that Swift probably will be the leader in terms of, if you're going to look about it fantasy, we've been talking about the fantasy football league, but I think with his catches and his ability out of the backfield that way, on top of the carries that he's going to get, he's probably going to lead in terms of fantasy points. But at the same time, we talked about Kenny Gainwell earlier. He kind of is going under the radar to some people. I know he's been mentioned by others, but it's like, hey, let's not forget, like, he's still here. Like, I know we have some cool acquisitions with Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift, and they're going to be great. But Kenny G, if plays very well, and he's been solidified too. It looks like they had him back on first team as far as the 2-minute drill. So there's some trust there with the 2-minute drill and getting the offense. But it's great to have because I think it's situational football. There's certain situations where you're going to say, okay, hey, you know what? We practiced for this. This is whenever you come in. But you have a lot of depth and backups there. So I love to see it. I think it's going to be great.
Flipping the bird, 5 entries more. I'm an Army and Air Force vet. We need the explanation someday, Thomas. One day we'll give it. Too long of a story. It's a Birds live stream. It's a Birds live stream. It's we got to focus on. But appreciate you. Thank you for your service, both Army and Air Force. Kind of like that. Let's see.
Absolutely.
We have a troll rolling through in here right now. Okay, well, if that happens. You guys coming into the game in Dallas as Eagle Swag Nation? We're trying to. Yeah, we're 100% trying to. And then Danto Dragon says, what jersey did you pick?
Almost, not 100%, but very likely.
Very, very likely. Very, very likely. Mike wants a Kelly Green Kelsey jersey. If you don't know, he obviously already he won that last week during the Sunday show, but or whenever it was, Wednesday show. But they didn't have any Kelsey jerseys, so I just got the word from Mike. He'll take a Slay jersey But we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and try and call them tomorrow and see if they have any available at the Pro Shop, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Joseph says, Thomas and Josh are all right. Old school, and don't care for a lot of these new guys. Most of them shouldn't use the men's room, have low IQ. These guys are well-informed, seem to get it. We appreciate that, Joseph. We appreciate that. Yeah, hey, it's a lot of, that's one way to say it. A lot of live streams out there, and a lot of live streams that suddenly are popping up on Wednesday nights for an interesting time. They kind of go right around whenever our show happens, so very fascinating. But we appreciate you guys picking us. We're trying to be, professional and fun, give you guys all of the different takes on the Eagles, and I would encourage you to check out our live show during the Saturday preseason game and during every Eagle game this year. I think you're going to find it a lot better and a lot visually better in terms of some stuff on the screen. So go ahead and obviously subscribe and stay tuned for that. We appreciate that. Obviously, the love has been
and we'll have some giveaways too, as we always do. So something else for the regular season that we're looking forward to.
100%. But we do appreciate all the love for these two channels the past couple of weeks. I mean, these are the number one fastest and number two fastest growing Eagle channels on YouTube right now, and we're the most viewed as well, if you look at the numbers. I mean, it's crazy how many of you guys are watching our shows. We appreciate that, and it's by a mile. It really is. We appreciate you guys on that 100%. Okay, let's see. Where are we at on some of these comments? Want to make sure as we're wrapping up towards the end. Thoughts on Derek Barnett dicking Dickerson? I don't know if he did that, but I don't think it's a big deal, Jonathan. We talked about this at the open of the show. Listen, here's the deal. By the time you get to, week 2, week 3 of training camp, you've been going up against the same guy time and time again. And it's the National Football League, and so sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And listen, apparently Dickerson had kind of a blindside block. Was it a true blindside block? Who knows, because they don't give us footage of this darn thing, even though every other football team does. But what are you going to do? And then Barnett got up and pushed him. It wasn't like he shoved him to the ground and started jumping on him and hitting him, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to, beat you to death. No, it was like, hey, man, don't do that. And then they both popped up, and that was basically it. So, not a big deal. Not a big deal. I think that I think it's fine. It's something that they're going to probably talk about in the cafeteria, during a meeting, during a mass team meeting, makeup, good to go, not a problem.
They'll be fine. They'll be perfectly fine. It's not a big deal, like you say. They're professionals. I don't think, although again, I know that we talked about it earlier, but some people are making a bigger deal about it because it's Derek Barnett, and there's some issues or concerns there with some penalties. So it's not the best in terms of what his brand is, but no, I think it's two guys. It's a physical game. Obviously, it's very violent. Emotions are high. We're ready for the preseason action. Dickerson probably won't play, but if we see Barnett out there, they're ready to get going. So it's not a big deal. We move on. Saturday's almost here. Take it out on the Ravens.
There you go. Take it out on the Ravens. Philly Cheese. How do you sign up for the ticket giveaway? See a link for the fantasy draft. Ticket giveaway, very simple. Here it is. Drop a super chat. Any entry you give gives you the equivalent entries in dollar amount with 2 tickets to any regular season Eagle game that you want. So you drop a super chat, and we keep tally. Josh has his whole thing pulled up, Excel spreadsheet, and then we put it into a random giveaway generator online. We do it live on the show. It'll be live during the final preseason game. So drop a super chat, be sub to both teams, and if you do $1, 1 entry, $20, 20 entries, $1,000, 1,000 entries, right? However many entries you want for a chance to win 2 tickets to the Eagles regular season game of your choice. Let's see. It's because you guys are professional and fun. Best content involving the birds, hands down. We appreciate that. We're trying.
Appreciate that, Ryan.
We try very hard. We do both have day jobs, and the day jobs take a lot of time, and somehow we're able to still have, multiple shows a week, well, sometimes a day, live shows. It's a struggle. It's easier for me, I will say. Josh has a little one, another little one on the way. He has a wife. I am wifeless at the moment, and so no, I do not have as many responsibilities as you do. So still get a lot of shows out. Great show today. So appreciate that.
You guys don't sell yourself short though. You were literally pumping them out like crazy. So it's kudos to you. Every single time it comes out, I'm like, man, that was lightning fast. On top of, like you mentioned, you've got another day job too. So I think some people just see it and go like, oh yeah, it's just natural, it's normal. But you've got other things in the mix as well.
I remember being a kid, let's say 10 to 15, and obviously really 10 to 20, and being super excited about Eagles training camp, and yet not being able to find updates, right? You don't have Twitter, or you're not glued to Twitter all day. You're not going to know what's going on. And so my whole goal, and your goal, I think, as well during training camp is, for me, daily. I want to tell you exactly what happened at training camp every single day. That way you know, because no one else does it. And I think that that's one weakness of Philadelphia is, and listen, I love all the digital content guys that they have, but they don't have as much coverage as I think Eagle fans crave. And I think that the only way to supplement that is for stuff like this. So, we try to give you guys the best content possible, but it's fun. Ryan says, watch both your channels. We appreciate that. That is very nice to you. And Shane Baker
Definitely
says, future
appreciate
Mrs. Mott is still waiting, Thomas.
That's
Yes.
a good point. Come
And
on.
then future Mrs. Mott is always watching. She checked in there. No girlfriend, apparently. Hey, I don't know what she's talking about here. Do you? I'm not sure. No girlfriend, apparently. Oh, I see. Because I said that you're busy with your wife, and I didn't say that I'm busy with my girlfriend. No, I'm very busy with my girlfriend.
Right.
100%. 100%.
That's why I was kind of saying, like, don't sell yourself short there.
I wasn't.
But,
I was trying not to. I was trying not to. Very busy. Very busy. And hey, listen, it's going to be very busy because I got my girlfriend tickets to Europe, specifically Italy, for her birthday in May, and we leave on Sunday. So we're going to be MIA for a couple of days as we go all over Italy. Very fun.
That will be a blast. We're all over Italy.
Yeah, so it's her first time to Europe. I've been to Europe a bunch with the boys, as she always says. She wants to be a Thomas and Paige trip, not a Thomas and the boys trip. So we're taking her and not the boys. We fly into Rome, do Rome for 2 days, and then we go to the Amalfi Coast because she wants to go to the Amalfi Coast so bad. Because obviously, if you have TikTok, you know about the Amalfi Coast. Amalfi Coast for 3 days. Then we fly up to Milan. We hop in a rental car, drive to Lake Como. We're going to do Lake Como for 2 nights, which I've always wanted to go to.
Ooh.
And then we drive to the Dolomites, which are the Alps that are connected to the top of Italy. So we got a couple hikes when we're in the Dolomites, which are going to be very fun. Wow. Back to Milan, fly home. Next day is the final preseason game. We jump on a live show and we give away tickets. So it's going to be a bunch of fun. It's going to be a bunch of fun.
Heck yeah. Let's go, man. What a trip. Like, kudos to you. Again, I've already said it, but come on.
Hey.
You bought the tickets for that.
Hey, I'm just saying. Just saying.
Crazy.
Future Mrs. Mott. I'm trying to, get her the best possible birthday gift ever. I get a lot of shade. She thinks I throw shade at her on this show. I don't. I love her to death. It's going to be a bunch of fun. Cool Rain said, your shows are my morning breakfast shows. Wake up and watch your videos straight away. There you go. That's a great way to do it. Great way to do it. Hey, Mike, both of you guys do a great job. Always want to start my own Eagles channel, but I'd probably be going to a police academy soon. Want to try to start it all. Well, congrats on that. And it does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of time. Yes, 100%. Philly Cheese, he wants to get 20 entries. He figured it out. There you go. 20 entries into our ticket giveaway. As long as you're subbed to both channels, just make sure you sub to both channels. But we got you here and ready to go. Let's go Eagles. You never know. $20 could do it. That could 100% do it. Philly 500 is a good one. Didn't one or both you collab with him? I've collabed with 500. Have you collabed with 500 yet? I don't know if you have.
I have not. No.
I've had him on.
I would love to. I think that I talked to Joey Shakes. I've collabed with him before, and he had mentioned getting on maybe the shakedown. But I have not actually. No. But it'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, one of these days. So no live show next week. No, I don't believe there will be a live show next week. There'll be a break next week because I will be in the Amalfi Coast, right? That's where I'll be next Wednesday night. So no, and it'll be very late. It'll be very, very late. So no, not at all.
I was going to say, what time will it be?
Can't imagine. That's gonna be... I've tried to do shows from Europe. It's almost impossible because the Wi-Fi is so bad. It is so bad.
That's
and
true,
so hard to do. So we will not be doing a live show at all. A couple super chats, but first, Josh Heald says, is there any news in the punter situation? No, although Aaron Sipos did muff a snap today, and if you're the punter, you got to be the holder as well. And as a field goal situation, he dropped it. That's a problem. That's all we've known, though. I think Sipos is winning this job, but my guess is they'll go the first half Sipos, second half Zentner in the preseason game, and that will be the true determiner.
I agree. Yeah, we're gonna have to see as far as just how they're able to play in the game because practice is one thing, but the game is really what it comes down to. We've had one practice where Zentner looked a little bit better apparently, and then another one where it was Sipos. So it's kind of gone back and forth. But yeah, once we see it in the game, it's going to come down to. I really think it's going to come down to the wire. I don't think it'll be like oh hey very quickly, easily it's going to be solidified. And I'm hoping that's the case. Maybe I'm wrong. But it'd be nice if Legatron can win this.
Yeah.
He didn't play too well in the open practice, which again it's just one time. It's in front of 50,000 fans, so I'm sure he probably wasn't expecting that. A lot of people maybe weren't, but that's the feel like that's what it will be like. And so maybe it was just nerves. He kind of calmed down a little bit, but the hang time issues, I will say that's one concern that started.
Oof. Got some lag there. Oof. Are you back? Oh man, we got Josh frozen. He's been on the edge. He's been on the edge. Do we still? I could hear him talking a little bit, but it's internet's rough in Dallas tonight.
Oof.
Ooh, it's really bad.
I mean,
we
all know on both sides, good and bad, of how it can be if you actually can't get the hang time up for the punts.
Wow, geez. Okay, I got about half of that. You got really laggy there. So, but looks like you're back though. Looks like you're back, but there was some lag there. Can you hear me? Ryan says he's on that Europe internet. Yeah, no, it's a little rough right now. It looks like he can't hear me because he's staring at the screen. Can you hear me? Yeah, Robo Josh says Donatella Dragon. Yeah, there's some Robo Josh going on right there. Oh, we just lost him. Okay, well, listen, he's gonna dial back in. Don't worry. Chris, I'm gonna read your super chat as soon as Josh comes back. Which, speak of the devil, there he is. Are you back?
Am I back? I don't know.
You are.
You
People were wondering if you were on that European internet right there, because that was rough for a second.
Yeah. I don't know what you heard and where it actually cut out.
Nothing. We heard nothing. No, it was Robo Josh for sure.
Great. Yeah, just kick me out next time. That's
okay.
Nobody
next time I will. I kept waiting for it to recover, and then it didn't recover. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that was bad. I don't know.
Before you go Robo Josh again,
probably.
Yeah, let's make sure we're getting Chris's super chat here. 20 entries into the ticket giveaway. Oh, it's with the diaper and girlfriend fund. Listen, I know you need diapers. I'm gonna need this for the girlfriend fund though, because I gotta pay for a girlfriend in Europe for 10 days. So I need all the girlfriend fund help I can get. And, oh, man, food. She cannot wait for us to get the first bite of food. I believe the first bite will be pizza in Rome. We'll see. But, yes, I will need some help. I will need some help for sure.
Ooh, okay.
There you go. Donto Dragon, 2 entries. Bring the mustache back. The perfect gift.
Got you down on the super chat, yes.
Yeah. No, Donatello, she said I can't do the mustache because she thinks it looks terrible. And she wants to take cute pictures. So... what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Sadly, no mustache.
So strike out on that. That's not
Every time I've been to Europe, the past couple of years, the mustache has been on. It's like tradition, but traditions are meant to be broken. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay, we got you down, though, Dontel. We got you down for the ticket giveaway. All right, final thoughts here. Let's quickly get ready for the Ravens game on Saturday. We're talking more about this probably on both our shows because it's only Wednesday, but... preseason's interesting, right? If you haven't been following the football team all preseason long, you don't know some of the backup names, it's probably boring for you. You won't know who's catching a pass or who's, throwing that block or who got that tackle. But for all of us who've been really, following the Eagles, you guys watch our channels, you would know there's a lot of storylines. There's a lot of position battles that are available, especially, from a backup role, right? There aren't a lot of starting spots that are out there. But there are a ton of backup spots, and there are a ton of players who have a real chance to make the roster. And I think Joseph Ngata and Mekhi Gardner are the 2 players I'm most excited to watch because they're 2 people who seemingly should not make this roster. Late round draft pick, undrafted free agent. They have no shot, right? Especially at corner and wide receiver, 2 of our deepest overall position groups, and yet they've been turning heads and doing what you have to do as an undrafted guy, and that is force them to keep you. Play so darn good they cannot get rid of you. And I have a lot of Travis Fulgham vibes around Joseph Ngata, and I think he's the guy to watch going into Saturday. What about you?
I agree. Yeah, no, if he has a good game, and like we talked about too, I mean, is as far as where he's already his trajectory and what he's been doing in camp, and then he can carry on to preseason. If he has a good game, I think that he could be in that situation. I mean, I know you've got like the solidified, obviously with AJ and with Devontae, and then you've got Olamide Zaccheaus and Quez Watkins. So like those 4 are there. But it feels like in terms of kind of that 4th receiver, a Zach Pascal, more physical, a guy who can block possibly too. I mean, I haven't heard anything, but I'm just assuming with Ngata's size, he's not only been a good pass catcher, but probably, hopefully, can have some physicality there. So, yeah, if he has a good game, again, I think it's very close to a lock. I'm not going to say it there yet, but if he has a good game, it's just going to be a for sure, I think, for me. And then also you mentioned there, I think it's very similar. Mekhi Gardner is going to get a lot of action. Like he's going to play out there, especially with the starters not being there, or we don't know that for sure, but we expect starters would not play. So Mekhi Gardner is going to have a ton of action there to be able to prove, you know what, everything you've seen in the practices and training camp can actually carry on to the field, because with his physicality, the Eagles obviously love him. He's kind of the same type of size and individual that a lot of the corners are on the team. Right. So it's not a surprise there, but with the way that he's been playing, yeah, if he can keep it up, he's another guy that I'm having my eye on to say, yep, he can actually, obviously bolster that and say, yep, he's got it locked up and he's going to be on the roster.
I totally agree. We wrap up with Cheesesteak saying he forgot what day it is. He's just joining us. Well, you get the rerun, Cheesesteak. Don't worry. You get to go ahead and do the rerun. And Benzo says, thanks, fellas. Keep me entertained at work. Keep up the good work. You guys, my daily preseason news. We appreciate that. We hope that you stay for the daily regular season news as well. So, again, no Wednesday Link Live next week. We will be back 2 weeks from now, I believe. I think that'll be back in time. So, but we will be live Saturday night for the preseason opener against the Baltimore Ravens. Gonna have a really, really fun interactive show. Be sure to go ahead and subscribe, notification bell for that, and stay tuned for our daily shows. We do them almost every single day on the channel, shorts as well. It's always a bunch of fun. For Josh Davis, Philly Special Show, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. See you guys.
We'll see you.